Hello again, everybody, and good to have you all back, my listeners and guests. My name is John Healy. People know me because I produced this book for my friend Tommy McClain. It's called "And That's How It All Happened." It's his life story from 1941 up until a few years ago. He was born in Ireland, and it's tales of his life, stories of his life, working here, growing up in Ireland, training for different things in Ireland, coming to New York in America, working down south during the civil rights time. And I know recently we had Martin Luther King Day. So Stoney was down driving a big truck during those times. I'm sure for a young Irish fella, it must have been pretty daunting to realise the civil rights movement and everything it went with. My sponsors are Liffey Van Lines. They're a moving company here in New York City, and they've been around longer than the New York City Marathon. When it comes to moving, let Liffey do the lifting. They are very professional in what they do because you cannot buy wisdom or experience. No doors fall off because they've no loose screws. I've also aligned myself with the Irish Examiner newspaper, Irish Examiner USA. It's a great Irish paper giving you all the events coming up in terms of music, the arts, and indeed politics. I also have a special guest on, and today is no exception. My guest today is Tommy McClain. He is a personal trainer, and he's a new guest, obviously. I want to welcome him, and I want to find out what his job entails and how he got to wherever he was before he became a personal trainer. So, hello, Tommy. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
Tell me where you were born and your background before you became a personal trainer.
So I was born in Long Island, which is like a suburb outside of New York City. Um, I grew up in Long Island, lived there for about 20, 21, 22 years until I moved to New York City about 3 years ago, 3.5 years
Okay.
ago. Yeah.
Okay, and tell us, like, were you always somebody that was athletic, or where did the sports thing come in?
So when I was growing up, my mother was very into CrossFit. So she kind of got me into working out when I was very young, like when I was in later elementary school and middle school. And I loved it right when I first started working out. It made me feel really good.
Okay,
Um,
and was your mother, did she come from a background, was she a school teacher or something, or?
my mother was a nurse.
Okay, well, I figured it was something in the health area. She wanted you to be healthy, I guess, or fit, or
Yeah,
and
yes, she did.
fitness
Uh-huh.
and health probably go hand in hand.
hmm
So then I guess you went to college or somewhere along the way. Did you get involved in other sports?
So sports. I played football. I played lacrosse as a kid. Um, but I always had a lot more fun with the working out and the running part. I loved track in middle school. I always liked to run on my free time.
Okay.
Sports I enjoyed, but it was more of like a social thing for me. I didn't quite like love sports so much,
Okay.
but I did enjoy the workouts in the weight room and the preparation that was involved
That goes
in
with it. Yeah.
whichever
Okay.
sport I was playing.
All right. That's interesting. And I know you sent me a short bio, and you said somewhere along the way you fell into alcohol and drugs, and that
Yes.
put you off your, I guess we'd call it a routine maybe for a while. You want to
Yes.
expand on that a little bit?
So I grew up in a town. I mean, the town that I grew up in, there was a lot of drinking. Drinking was just a normal thing that, you got into when you were 12, 13. Your buddies on the weekend, you'd start drinking. And you know, I loved drinking a lot, and it wasn't quite a problem until I went away to college. So I went away to college. Had nothing to do with I wasn't in college studying exercise. And when I really started partying in college, I really just almost stopped exercising entirely. Um, it got to a point, to skip through, you know, a little bit of this story, it got to a point where I had a couple hospitalizations. I had to come home from college. Um, and I just remember my family sitting down, my friends sitting down with me and telling me that something needed to change. So
When
I decided
you
that,
say hospitalization, Do you mean like blackouts or stuff like that?
I had DTs, like delirium, like I was my body was physically addicted to alcohol and a couple other substances. So
Okay.
when I stopped, my body had seizures and they were dangerous.
Okay.
So I collapsed to the floor a couple times and had some bad seizures and woke up in the hospital a few times.
Not good.
It happened twice,
And
and after the second seizure, I realized that I really needed to make a change and that what I
okay.
was doing wasn't working.
Okay. And
Um,
tell us, my guest today is Tommy McClain. He's talking about personal training as he's a personal trainer, but he's talking about his previous problems before he became a personal trainer. And we'll get to
yes.
how the personal training helped you. So if you like this podcast, it's called A Good Talk. Please subscribe. But Tommy, tell my listeners a little bit more about where you decided to stop the drinking and whatever else. And was that like you just stopped cold turkey, or did you
Yeah, I
miss?
had to stop cold turkey. It was a serious problem. And it was very hard because pretty much everything in my life, my friend group, what I enjoyed doing was revolved around, going to the pubs, going out, and drinking. So I told myself that I was going to start waking up early, so that would eliminate me staying up late and wanting to go out. And I was going to start working out and exercising again.
Okay,
Um, so I started waking up early and I started going to the gym every day again.
okay,
And it really, the way it made me feel, and like I was coming from a place, like a very dark place, and I wasn't feeling happy. I was pretty depressed. And the gym pretty much rebuilt me. I felt
okay,
incredible.
okay,
Um, it was hard for me in life to ever really find hobbies and topics in school that I was really interested in learning more about. But with working out, I realized that, with my free time, I'm online studying which exercises I should be doing, which mobility routine I should be following. And I do that effortlessly because it's something that I really enjoy.
okay,
So one of the days I'm working out at the gym and I see a trainer at the gym that I'm working out in, and I just pulled him aside and I asked him how he got his credentials because I
okay,
was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, I can make some money and while also doing something that I really enjoy doing. So he told me that he took his NASM CPT test, which is just a certification that personal trainers take. You take that test and then you can apply to gyms. So
How long do you
signed
have
up.
to? Sorry, Tommy. How long do you have to prepare before you take the test? Is it like more theory or is it practical?
So I know that the rules changed because right when I did this, it was COVID lockdown
Oh,
started like almost immediately. Um, and it was all online. So
okay,
I got through the course in about 4 or 5 months.
okay,
Um, it's kind of like a do it at your own pace, but I would try not to rush it so that you
okay,
can actually retain some of the information and use it to
okay,
help clients and know what you're
okay,
doing with your job. So it took me about 5 months. So I signed
okay,
up for the course. Um, I was in college studying social work,
okay,
um, and I was delivering pizza, and I was studying to be a
okay,
trainer.
okay,
Um, yeah.
okay.
Five
So
months
you
later,
mentioned something there that you didn't say before. Is you said you were doing social work.
yes.
So I think that
So
ties
when I
in
had this
with
experience
the
with
personal training, does it?
drugs and alcohol, I decided that I wanted to help and focus my education on helping people with addiction. I thought that it would help me in return, like, you know, stay sober, um, and keep me like involved.
Okay,
Um, I did some internships. Let's fast forward. I'm in college studying social work. I passed my training certification. I'm in internships for social work that I'm not enjoying, and I was
mm,
loving my personal training job.
okay,
So I decided that I was going to pause my social work education and
okay,
I was going to give personal training my 100%. Like, I'm going to
okay,
try this. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to put all my work and effort towards doing this. And if it's
mm,
not feasible, if I don't make enough money, if it doesn't work out, I'll go back and I'll finish school.
Okay.
So that's what I ended up doing.
Right, that sounds pretty plausible and reasonable. I mean, I know a lot of in my lifetime. I know a lot of alcoholics. I know a lot of reformed alcoholics, and I find with reformed alcoholics, when they become sober, some people like use AA or various other ways to help them, like stay off the drink or the drugs and all that. But sometimes, most times, and it's just my opinion, and you can contradict me if I'm wrong, is they go from alcoholic to workaholic. Would you say you've gone from alcoholic drugs to total 100% focus on what you do now?
Yes, without a doubt. Um, I think that um, part of the reason why that tends to happen is that when you stop drinking and you're, an alcoholic or addicted to some sort of substance and you get sober, there is this huge like void that you're almost like confused because this thing that you used to, do all the time and that was debilitating and took up a lot of your time, you now have all this free time on your hands. And you also have this, you're searching for something that makes you feel good, right? And the gym made me feel similar to how, those happy endorphins that I would get and that excitement that I would get towards drinking, going out, using drugs. Um, so it was almost like it was completely replaced by uh, working really hard, getting my life back together. And I think, you chase those things that make you feel very good. So I
But
definitely work a lot.
Tommy McClain is my guest today, he's a personal trainer, explaining how he got from where he was to where he is and being 100% devoted to his personal training. A favorite singer of mine, Christy Moore, Irish singer, Irish folk singer, he went through similar to yourself in terms of the drink and God knows, probably smoking stuff. But when he was interviewed, like something like this, he was asked about it and he said, time. He didn't realize the amount of time he was given to drinking. And then now you have all that time and you, just like you said, I guess, you have to fill the gap, fill the time with whatever your new passion is. So I commend you for doing that, of course. So let's talk more about where you are now with your career as in personal training. Do you work for a gym now, or do you do your own thing?
So I'm pretty much at the tail end of working for um, corporate gyms. I give about almost 8 hours a week to a corporate gym in New York City.
Mm,
And, I started off at this corporate gym a couple years ago, and I used to work there full time.
okay.
And I realized that personal training is my career.
Mm,
I want to do this and I want to make sure that I can provide a living for myself. So I realized that, the best way to do that is to start your own personal training business. So that way you can, the corporate gyms tend to take a big chunk of your pay.
okay.
So when you go independent, it's much more lucrative.
Okay.
But there's also some challenges that come with it as
Of
well.
course. Well, I think
So,
anybody that works in their own business, like or for themselves, realize that there's like responsibilities, you know. So it's not like you have all the gravy, you know. You have to put
mhm.
steps in terms of advertising and all that. Come to that in a second. So when you say you worked in a corporate gym, were you somebody there that just helped people that just joined the gym, show them how to spin a few wheels or
So
walk on a
yeah, I was a personal trainer. And when new people signed up for the gym, every new member would get a complimentary session free of charge, which then you would have to try and turn them into your client in
okay,
2 sessions,
okay,
right? So, uh, it's still like when you work for a corporate gym, it's still
mm,
not, you don't just like sign up and be a
mm,
trainer and then it's like, oh, here you have an 8 hour workday, you're going to train 8 clients so from 9 to 5.
okay,
No, you need to actually go out on the floor. You need to be able to sell to clients.
Okay.
And personal training is actually much more of a sales job
Okay.
than it is anything else.
Okay.
Um, that may be, a lot of people don't, at least I didn't realize that before I got started.
Okay. Well, there's an aspect of selling to most products or services. Like I had Michael Moran on here. He's a New York real estate guy, probably one of the top New York real estate guys. And he learned how to sell from a very early age. But he's quite gifted at it. He's quite conscious of how he does it. But he wants to help the client.
Of
And
course.
I think that's the difference between a good salesperson and a shoddy salesperson. You often heard the term like salesmen selling second-hand cars. He doesn't really care as long as you buy the car. If it breaks down after the car lot, good luck.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
No, yes, 100%. That's personal training is one of those jobs that if you don't like it, you most likely will fail because you realize that it's not about like a lot of people become personal trainers because they love working out, but that is not what you're going to be doing as a personal trainer. You need to be helping what your
The client, yeah.
clients need. You need to be
Mm,
addressing their needs and what they want. And,
okay,
most people that you meet, aren't trying to bench 315 pounds.
no,
They're just trying to move better, feel better. Usually there's some mobility issues that need to be addressed. So you realize that, personal training is all about helping clients get to their goals, right?
mm,
And I brought up the sales part because um, if you can't sell training to anybody, then you actually are incapable of helping anybody.
okay,
So there's got to be a good mix of both.
okay, that's a
But if
reasonable.
you have a good service and if you know your stuff and you're
Okay,
passionate,
yeah,
people can see that.
okay. I agree 100% with you on that one. So let's talk a little bit. Let's delve a little bit more into that. And for example, let's say the type of clients that might come to you. So let's say somebody maybe like myself, a bit overweight, maybe high blood pressure, mobility maybe, because I
Hmm.
took a fall during the summer. So you evaluate that person, I guess, and you put them on a different level of training as opposed to a 25-year-old.
Of course. Yeah, personal training is personal, right? Everybody has a completely different experience that every person that I train is on a pretty much a completely different program.
Okay,
A lot of the same movement patterns are similar, but everybody has different programming. And even the way that you communicate and talk to other clients is different from across the day, right? You gotta pretty much mirror and match whatever client that you have coming in.
okay,
So every hour is completely different, which is a
no,
fun part of the job, to be
okay,
honest.
okay. And say again, people come to you, like say, if we take it like say someone going to a barber shop and getting a haircut, and you tell the barber you want to look like Elvis. Well, you're not going to look like, he kind of make you look like Elvis, okay? Because Elvis is dead. But say
Yes,
someone comes to you and they want to look like, I don't know, some Mike Tyson. Well, you're not going to look like Mike Tyson. You're not going to talk like Mike Tyson unless you know baby talk. But
yes,
they come to you and say, can you make me, like, muscle me up or make my chest bigger, like make my shoulders broader? They're asking you things that are impossible. How do you deal with that?
well, you want to set realistic goals with your clients in the beginning, but you also don't want to have them come in and you just tell them everything that they think is wrong. And, you know, the most common thing is people want to tone up. They say, I just want to get toned, and I don't want to use weights because I don't want to get bulky. But as you know, getting toned is increasing your muscle, increasing skeletal muscle mass, and decreasing body fat percentage. So these people have to work with resistance which is what they are nervous to do, but then you have to kind of explain it to them
Mhm.
in a way that they can understand without making them feel, without telling them that everything they think is wrong, if that
Okay.
makes sense, right? So
Oh,
you give them a little bit of what they want, but you also sneak in what they need,
okay.
right? Because at the end of the day, if you have somebody coming in and they hate working out with you and they don't like to do what they need, they'll stop. So, uh, unfortunately, you got to kind of sometimes you got to throw in some things into programs that might not necessarily be the most optimal thing to do, but it will keep that person
Okay.
working out and
Mhm.
going on the right track to where they need to be.
All right. So you're basically you're like a very good accountant, because I do have an accountant coming on in a few weeks, and he says people hate taxes, but they like him, and that's a good selling point because I know I hate taxes because the burnt child fears the fire. But when I met this guy, Jay Shaw, he took my stress away because pressure is for tires, and now I feel very relaxed dealing with taxes and issues like that. Because I did have bankophobia for a while, which is a term, whether
Hmm.
believe it or not. So let's expand a little bit more on the range of clients that you have. Like, do you have young, old, or does it get to a stage where somebody comes in with a walking frame and you say, "Oh my God,"
I'm sorry, can you backtrack a little bit? My connection kind of.
like the range of clients that you may have, like
Oh,
from young, fit, up to where an older gentleman might walk in with a walker. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
I have a 17-year-old client currently, and I also have a 76-year-old client.
okay,
And there is a big range of people in the middle. I would
okay,
say mostly New York City, you're working with a demographic of 30 to 50 in most cases,
okay,
usually in high finance lawyers,
okay,
jobs that are, require a lot of sitting at a desk.
okay,
So you see a lot of similar things that need to be addressed amongst
okay,
the clients in New York.
okay. So getting them moving, I guess, is a big one.
Yes.
Well, when it comes to moving, let Liffey do the moving, okay? That's
When it
that's
comes to the moving?
that's Liffey's job, the moving, yeah.
Oh, yes.
But you're dealing with a different type of thing for moving. Like, I mean, you mean physical mobility,
Yes.
or get them able to walk to the grocery store.
Hmm.
Like New York is such a wonderful city. You have services like Fresh Direct that bring the groceries to your door. And
Yes.
before that, you had to walk to the grocery store at least and pick up your groceries and walk home with them. And you got a 30-minute walk basically. Like when I go to the gym, Jim is the name of my bartender, but I walk to him, which is about 20 minutes away, and that's kind of my gym, my workout. But other people have different goals, and especially at the beginning of the year,
Jim
people
is
have
your bartender?
Jim is my bartender, yeah. I'll tell him you said hello.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, but at the beginning of the year, people have like good intentions and they make resolutions, and then gyms are noted for this, by the way, where people like join the membership, and then February, March, like the membership is
Yes.
longer of interest to them, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yes. I'm currently in the middle of that cycle right now, January 16th.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people with very big, ambitious goals.
Mm,
And my job is to help them stay on
mm,
that track.
mm,
Um, the most common problem you see with these New Year's resolutions is that people will go from not going to the gym at all
yeah.
to saying that they're going to go 6 days a week, and then change their diet. And this is completely, it's like a complete 180. You are living a completely different life, and with all those different changes
Mm,
comes a lot of challenges and a lot of habits that you haven't learned yet. So it typically ends in failure because people set
mm,
themselves up and make these expectations so high that
yeah.
they're just not attainable.
I totally agree with that too. So you mentioned something else there in terms of, excuse me, in terms of like diet, okay? So if someone comes to you and let's say they're obese, you advise on diet to say what they should be doing or what they shouldn't be doing is to push the plate away from the table and eat less, or is it a combination of more than one thing?
So when somebody comes to me who is obese and wants to lose weight, my job primarily is to be the expert of the exercise and their weight program. I do have a certification in precision nutrition, but I'm not like a registered dietitian. But I do understand how they need to be eating in order to achieve their goals. So what I like to do is I like to break down, I give them a recommended calorie consumption and I give them recommended macronutrients
Okay,
to hit. Macronutrients, proteins, carbs, fats. I'll email them a sheet, and on this sheet of paper has examples of how they can get protein, carbs, and fats, and from what sources, right? So that they can be, the person that is in charge of picking and selecting which foods they want. This
okay.
usually makes it a little bit easier for them because they have some sort of control over it. Um, as opposed to just telling them you're going to eat oatmeal when you wake up and you're going to have a turkey burger at lunch and you're going to do this. Some people thrive in that situation, but a lot of people like to have uh, that option, right?
Mm,
So I try to teach mindfulness to my clients. I
mm,
try to get them to understand how many calories they're consuming, just so they have an idea of it. And then we try to instill some better habits into the diet that they already have right
mm.
now.
My friend Stoney did a comedy skit on being a fast food junkie
Uh-huh.
where he would eat healthy during the day, but in the middle of the night he would get up for his McDonald's and Burger King and all that,
Oh yeah.
cheat on himself. Tell me, how do you advertise and how do you get clients?
How do I advertise? So I've done a lot of old school advertising, such as I have spent mornings taping flyers
Okay,
around the city. Outside of residential buildings that I have scoped out and looked at online that have nice gyms near my apartment. So I'm not just putting up the flyers anywhere. I am I'm putting them intentionally in front of buildings that I want to get into.
okay,
Um, I advertise on Google, so
okay,
when somebody types in personal trainer, I will pay for time to have my website be the first thing that comes up so that they click
okay,
on it, and from
okay,
there they can sign up for a trial session with me. Um, the residential buildings that I've been in, I wear McClain. This is my McClain
logo, yeah,
Personal Training is my brand, so I wear my shirt, I wear my brand. I pass out business cards. I say hi to people.
great,
Um, and then I give referral incentives to the clients that I have
okay,
already.
okay,
So a mixture of a lot of different things.
okay, that makes sense. Like my background is marketing. I had Tom Sanchez on here. He works for United Print Group, so he does prints, logos, and various promotional things. And we did actually two podcasts, and we talked a lot about branding. And it's a good one for you, a good podcast for my listeners to check
Yeah,
out.
I'll definitely watch that
Yeah,
this
watch
week.
that because branding is very important. Because I used to own a
Which
restaurant.
podcast is that? Which one is it? So
It's Tom Sanchez United Print Group.
Tom
I've
Sanchez.
over
Okay.
for my listeners to know I've over 100 podcasts out there,
Yeah.
and I did own this restaurant in Ireland called Mother Hubbard's, and I did four podcasts on this, which talks a lot about branding, like branding and name. So it's Mother Hubbard's, it's not John Healy, it's Mother Hubbard's, because when you sell your product or your brand and you move on, if it's a name, it's easier to sell it than if it's a personal name type of thing. But you should listen, check out United Print Group and say hello, Tom Sanchez. Tell us what's your website so we can put it up on the screen.
So McClainPersonalTraining.com
Okay,
is the name of the website.
okay. And my guest today is Tommy McClain, a personal trainer, and you can get him where at the website that he just mentioned. People like to know as well when they go to a personal trainer and they say, okay, they expect you to make them look great in 5, 6 sessions or something like that. And how does that work? And how much is it
It
for
doesn't work.
someone to have a session?
That's not that's not what happens. So a lot of people do have that, you know, they want the results fast.
Yeah,
Um, and you can get fast results, but they're just not sustainable, right? So if you need to look good for some event in a month, we can, cut calories drastically, mix that with some strength training, but it's going to be very uncomfortable for you.
okay.
And when you're done with that program, you're going to have to, go back, you're going to have to put on a couple pounds and start eating, a little bit more than what you were doing for 4 weeks to get in that shape, right? The earlier you start towards whichever time goal you have, the healthier we can get you there and the better you'll look, right? So it usually takes about, 3 months for you to, in 1 month, you'll feel better without a doubt. Mentally, you'll have more energy. You'll probably be sleeping better. In 3 months, you will 100% start to see changes if you're consistent. Around 6 months is when other people really start commenting. They say, "Oh my goodness, what have you been doing?"
Okay.
Um, that's
Okay.
if
My
you're
listeners like always
following the right. Uh,
my listeners always like to know like the cost. How much have they to invest per session?
Personal training sessions are about 100 and they average around $150 per session in New
Mm,
York City.
mm.
When you go outside into the suburbs, usually, or outside of New York, you'll probably find around maybe 80 to $100. But in New York, I know a couple trainers who charge $250 per session, right? So it's definitely, it's a little pricey, but it's an investment in your health.
And okay, and if somebody goes to you and they want like they realize it's going to take them 3 months, okay, and
Yes.
that's uh, 12, at least 12 sessions.
Yep.
At least. So do you have like buy one get one free, or do you have a deal for them?
So I sell in packages of 6, 12, and 24.
Okay.
Um, each time, the 6 pack sessions, that'll come out to about $155 per session. 12 will come out to about 150, and then the 24 is 140. So the more sessions that you buy, the bigger the discount and the more you
Discount.
save. Um,
All right.
yes.
Okay. And so you
And
are
if you're
available.
somebody who, trains once a week, um, and clearly you'll need to be working out a little bit on your own, I have made my own fitness app. So I
Yeah.
would give you the fitness app, you would download it, and I would upload your programs to the fitness app. The fitness app has video demonstrations of me going through every single exercise that you would see on it. And then you type in what weights you used and you submit it to me, and then I look at what you submit, and then I repost another program for you to follow.
Okay. Very good. Well,
Yeah,
I hope you get some clients from our conversation on this podcast. It's good to talk.
of course.
Interested in your story, and I
Thank,
wish you well going forward with your career. You have a future in front of you, no doubt, and I wish you well. So now
thank
I'm
you
going
so
to
much,
say,
John.
pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I
Now I'm going to
appreciate
say
coming on.
goodbye, and I usually say goodbye Scalge in the Irish language, which means Slán,
Hmm.
and Slán Awalia means safe home. Shin Scale means that's a story. Shin Scale Ella means that's another story. And I was corrected last week by someone from Ireland, from Mayo, when I said Nílín Chinton or the Chinton Féin, which means there's no home place like your own home place. So New York City is a home place. Okay, Tommy, go on again. Go
All
on,
right.
bye.
Have a good day.